So, first of all, what Best was saying, I felt sad yesterday because I go to many conferences like this, and this was such a great group of teachers, and I really appreciate QLF and all of the things. Should I stand here? Is that better? I really appreciate all the people at QLF who have worked very, very hard to bring me here, and thank you for being here. I'm very grateful to you. For those of you who were not here yesterday, I am a teacher in Los Angeles. I do not have all the answers, but I have had some success, and I wanted to talk to you about 3 things today that my class really likes, and I think you might like to try some of these things with your students because they're not hard to try. One of the things I love about being a teacher is I am teaching for my 29th year, and I am different every year. I learn as I go. What I learned when I first came to my school, my students are not successful. The students at Hobart Elementary School are very poor. They do not go to college. Most of them do not even finish 12th grade. And I had to figure out how I could change that cycle and try to make them more successful. What I realized was that the children at Hobart Elementary School only study for a test. They never ever get ready for life, ever. Thank you. They never ever get ready for life. So the first thing I always tell people when I speak, we ask our children to pay attention to us, so please pay attention to me when I am speaking. Thank you. The first thing I always tell children, if you ask one of your students, if they are doing math or doing writing, and you ask a child, why are you doing this? What do you think a child will say? Most children I say, why are you doing this? They say, because my teacher told me to. Or, I have to. Sometimes they say, I don't know why I'm doing this. What I teach my students, if you ask one of my students, why are you doing this? Here's what they will say. If I learn this skill, my life just got better. It is all about their life. Every lesson I teach, every lesson, even if it is baseball or writing or art or mathematics, we take a moment to think about how they will use this skill in their life, not in my classroom. 10 years from now, 15 years from now. For example, just 3 days ago, I was teaching children decimals. And I showed them a newspaper article where a person in a New York hospital died because the nurse put the decimal in the wrong place and the patient got the wrong medication, 10 times too much medication, and died because someone did not understand decimals. This is why we are studying decimals, not because I'm going to give you a test on Friday. Excuse me. So, one thing that I do with children that I wanted to share with you that is a lot of fun is I teach my children how to manage money, which is a very important skill. If we look around the world, especially in the United States, where everyone has lost their money, it is because people do not know how to manage money. So in my classroom, on the first day, all of my 10-year-old children have to apply for a job. They have to fill out a job application. We have bankers, janitors, graders. We have people that recycle materials, people that take care of our sports equipment. We have all kinds of jobs, and they have to fill out an application. Each child gets a ledger and a bank account. If they do their job, they get paid every month with class money. Now, I never tell the children to do their job. No one has to tell me to do my job. My principal does not have to come in and say, Rafe, don't forget to teach. So if your job is to sweep the room, You sweep the room every day or you do not get paid. Now, all of the children in my class have to pay rent to sit at their desks. If you sit closer to the front of the room, the rent is higher. It's a better neighborhood. Front of the room. Back of the room, less money. Okay? Far away. Now, the problem is, I am very devious. I do not pay the children enough money to be able to pay their rent. For example, maybe it cost $1,000 to sit here, but her job only pays $700 a month. She will not be able to pay her rent. It's like being a teacher, okay? And the children say, what happens if we cannot pay our rent? I tell them, you have to lose your seat and you will sit on the floor homeless. But it never happens because there are many, many ways that I give the children opportunities to make extra money. If they do well on tests, they get extra money. If they join extra activities, like our school orchestra, that's extra work, you get extra money. I have a film club. I have a Shakespeare club. I have a math club. When you do extra work, you get extra money. Nobody ever has to sit on the floor. But here's the fun part. At the end of the month, we have an auction in my class where I bring in school supplies, books, calculators, pens, pencils, and if the kids have extra money, we have an auction where they raise their hand and try and buy supplies. But the really smart kids do not buy anything. If you can save up triple your rent, you can buy your seat, call it a home, and you never have to pay rent again, to teach them about ownership. The really smart kids buy other people's seats and charge them rent every month. Okay? But twice a year, if you own your seat, you have to pay property taxes, and the children fill out tax forms. Once a year, all of the children pay income taxes and fill out the forms. And what the children love about this, it is fair. Children do not mind a tough teacher, but they hate an unfair teacher. This is what my children tell me. They have been in classrooms where somebody says, she's doing the wrong thing, everybody is punished. The kids hate that. If you're doing the right thing, why should you be punished? That's not fair. But with the economic system, if you don't do your homework, you have to pay a $50 fine. I'm not mad at you. You may have a good reason for not doing your homework. Maybe your grandmother was sick. Maybe the dog really ate your homework. It's possible. I'm not mad, but if you don't do your work, you have to pay a fine. If I don't come to school, I don't get paid. If you don't do your work, you don't get paid. It's like real life. And the children make deposits in a bank. They take money out. We have a police department that makes you pay a fine if you have, for example, not done your homework, or if you are mean to another child, which doesn't happen very often. But the point is, and here's the real great thing about our economic system. Several years ago, I got a letter from a girl named Helen. She used to be my student, and now she was in college. And for her third year of college, she was studying in Japan, one of those exchange programs. And she wrote me a funny letter, and she said, Rafe, all of the college kids here are saying, Mom, Dad, send me money. I'm out of money. Help me with money. Helen wrote to me, Rafe, I don't have to write my mother and father. I know how to handle money. I learned it in the 5th grade. That is a real assessment of teaching, not just the test at the end of the year. This is a skill that the children are using for the rest of their life. Would you please tell me, do any of you know about 2 marshmallows and Stanford University? Do you know? This is something I tell my children with the money system. Very important. In 1970, a great professor at Stanford University did a really fun experiment. He took 4-year-old children, one at a time, and brought them into a room. And he gave them 1 marshmallow. And then, right as the child was about to eat it, he said, "Oh, I forgot something. Would you wait for 1 minute, please? I'm going to leave the room, and I'll be back in a few minutes. You can eat the marshmallow, but if you wait till I come back, you can have 2 marshmallows." And then they watched the children through a secret window. Some of the 4-year-old children took the marshmallow, ate it. But some of the children waited. Some of the 4-year-olds waited for 20 minutes for 2 marshmallows. And then they followed the students for 18 years. Every child that waited for 2 marshmallows did better in school. Everyone. Because they had learned the concept of delayed gratification, of not having to have something now. What the economic system teaches my children is when we have the auctions, you might want to buy that book, but maybe you can't afford it. Maybe you need to wait. Maybe you need to save your money. These are very important skills to teach children, and the kids love it, and their parents love it. They think it's fantastic. I have noticed that when I take the children on a trip, which I will talk about in a few minutes, if you've ever seen children on a trip, if they have money in their pocket, they will spend it. They will buy anything in any store. My students do not. They save their money. They say, well, it's just a stuffed animal. It's just a picture. I really don't need that. So I really think some of you, I hope, will think about using a money system in your classroom, not to punish the children or to reward the children, but to teach them about the responsibility of taking care of their money. And here's another wonderful thing. There's always one student in my class who has a lot of money, who works very hard, buys a lot of property, and then the other children say, "Oh, you're lucky." And the child says, luck has nothing to do with it. We all started with the same amount. I just made better decisions. And I think that's a wonderful thing for the children to learn when they're young. It will really help them later on. So that's the economic system.